On the hood of the Mazda, I've got several things here. You see some coffee cans sitting there. Basically what they are for is I have rolls of different sized paper that I put on the DA. The one you see on the left there is 100 grit. Adhesive goes on the DA sander that I have right here. It's a 5-inch or so. And then I've got a little bit bigger one there. That's the 180. I usually work with it. It's adhesive as well. You can see the 180 here is, if you can read it, adhesive. Goes on pretty easily. I use these coffee cans to store it. I noticed that over a time the elements will cause the adhesive on the back to deteriorate. Now this taller white one over here, I keep a couple of rolls of adhesive backing, 320 and 400. Now I use that for a couple of different things. The 320 I'll work down after I've finished with the 100 or even 80 some people use, and then the DA with the 100, then the 180 to cut it down a bit more. Then I'll start working with the 320. Now you can do this as wet sand, you can dry. See what I've got here. I've got a 3M. It's a soft pad and made by 3M. You're able to put the adhesive backing right on there and go on. Doesn't take long. Just zip it off and put a new piece on. But I cut those off and use them. Now I'll tell you something else. When you've got a lot of different contours on the body, little grooves and rings and circles and various things, sometimes those little indentions and grooves, like this one right here, for example, if you can get a close-up view of this, you see this right in here? Now you can work that with a piece of sandpaper on your finger, or you can get yourself a little round tube, just kind of like this one right here. Take that adhesive, stick it on there, put it right in there. Now it has to be the exact size of the groove that you're working with, and work it back and forth until you get the desired finish that you want with it. Now we'll use the 400 on the block last. I'll use it to bring this body down where I want it for a primer. Pretty much everything. Roof's ready. The hood, I've got to finish up a little bit on it, and this front fender I want to finish a little bit on it. And then the bed, I have it detached. I've pulled it back, but I'll pull it back even further to paint. I'll pull it back probably another 1.5 to 2 feet. 1.5 I guess, about all I need. And then that way then I can get right in here in the back of my bed. Nothing looks worse than somebody painting it up to the bottom of the window there and leaving it. That just doesn't look good. And then down the back of the bed, front of the back of the bed here, or that bed part right there. Get in there and work it a little bit and put some paint on it. Now as you see, I've got it cut down. Now most of that paint is cut down, and I've got some metal places showing. Now that metal, I'll probably seal that area, those areas, or I'll use a particular type of, maybe a 2K primer, which will take care of it. I want a good high build, solid, that's easily sanded. So we'll talk about that as I get to it. But that's where we're at right now. I've got a few things to do yet. Excuse me. I've got a few things to do here yet, but I'm going to go ahead and hook up the DA and show you how that works here on some of the different areas that we're going to be working. I want to try to do this with the camera and not make any more motion than I have to here. But let me step around here and get the DA sander hooked up. I'll take this 180, I'll put it on there. Now if you notice, this one is a little larger. It's not the small 5-inch, it's a 6-inch. And I usually just pull it down like that around it. It adheres good. I don't like cutting it off. I don't need to. It adheres good and it works good with it that way. Now, hook up my DA sander to my air here, and then basically these areas that you want to work them. You don't want to just set in a spot. You want to work forward. You want to go with the contour go with the contour of the vehicle. If you don't go with the contour of the vehicle, you're going to leave high and low spots, and they'll show when that paint is put on there. Now, that gives you an idea of how you work this. Okay, now that you've seen that part of it, I want to show you something else. You take this pad here, this 3M, like I showed you. This will pull right off. Take your new piece and stick it on there. Sticks on real easy. Turn up the edges, if you will. Pat it a little bit. Like I said, you can do this either way. You can do it dry or you can do it wet. Now, the best way to do this is like this right here, at an angle. Pull it down at an angle. Work it, come back, work it the other way. Now what you're actually doing here is you're assuring yourself that you don't have a bunch of little flat spots where you take your fingers and put them in there and rub, because when you do, those fingers are going to leave little waves. Those waves will show up in spite of everything you can do if you don't cut it down right. So that right there is a quick lesson on what we're doing here to prep it now. Getting it all ready for the primer. All right, we'll see you in the next video.